It is a great pleasure to welcome Werner Heber to our pulpit. Werner grew up in Switzerland and came to the United States in 1967 for work as an organic chemist in the pharmaceutical industry, planning to stay 2 years. From the East Coast, he moved to Salt Lake City, where he met Sherrod, and for the past 25 years, they have been living in Durango. They have been members of UUFD since 2019.
This is a story about the interdependence on life on the planet, the story of the recycling of oxygen. Life on our planet, with all of its uncountable life forms, is amazing. As Einstein said, there are only 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, the other is as though everything is a miracle. I'm choosing the latter, which is why today I'm presenting a very simplified history about how life started in a toxic soup about 2 billion years ago, when there was not yet any oxygen in our atmosphere. That's when bacteria first started to use a chemical process we call photosynthesis, to harvest the energy of the sun, to combine carbon dioxide and water to make sugar, with the waste product being oxygen. Looking at the picture of our planet projected on the wall, and the postcards in your hand, you may be able to see a very thin blue layer surrounding it. That is our atmosphere, consisting of nitrogen, oxygen, water vapors, and a bit of carbon dioxide. On Earth's surface, protected by the atmosphere, are the oceans, soils, lakes, streams, forests, deserts, jungles, and mountains where life is happening. The amazing thing is that this watery layer amounts to only 0.02% of our planet's mass. Yet this is where life has been and continues to happen. Over millions of years, a myriad of plants and animals evolved, some in water, others on land. Plants breathing oxygen out and animals breathing it in. Animals and us humans bringing carbon dioxide out and plants breathing it in perfect balance. Recycling the same atoms over and over. Today, as you're sitting here listening to this 3-minute story of oxygen, we're all breathing in recycled oxygen. What you're breathing in today has been recycled over and over by dinosaurs, Buddha, Jesus, Martin Luther King, and you and me. Right now, your body contains millions of atoms from each of these long ago life forms. Equally true, every breath contains at least one atom from Jesus or any other long-gone compatriots of his. Getting back to Einstein, seeing everything as a miracle, I'm inviting everyone to meditate on our interdependent miracle of life. Feel your breath. Know that the recycled oxygen atoms are keeping you alive right now. Follow every breath in and out, being grateful. Now, the next time you're breathing, washing your hands, or drinking water, feel the joy about the amazing journey these oxygen atoms have undertaken over billions of years, being recycled over and over, making life possible. Feel the awe, and as Einstein did, choose everything as a miracle.
Let us welcome Deborah Lykin to the pulpit. Deborah has been a member of the fellowship since the spring of 2023 and an active participant on the environmental justice team. She is an educator among us. I am adding that because we have learned a lot from Deborah this week. She has lived in Durango since 2019 when she moved here from Portland to be nearer to her daughters and her granddaughter. Welcome, Deborah.
Good morning, everyone. So here's the story I want to tell. When the young Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg was asked to address the World Economic Forum at Davos in 2019, when she was 15, she told the attendees, quote, "Adults keep saying we owe it to young people to give them hope, but I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. And then I want you to act. I want you to act as if our house was on fire, because it is," unquote. Children can sometimes speak with a moral clarity that adults can find difficult to achieve. Do you know what year was the Earth's hottest year on record? Last year. How about the second hottest year? 2023. All of the 10 hottest years in 200 years of record keeping are in the most recent decade. Last year, we surpassed the 2016 Paris Agreement target of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees C above pre-industrial levels. The World Health Organization has calculated that heat kills a minimum of 500,000 people every year, but warns that that figure could be up to 30 times higher. The concentration of CO2 in our atmosphere recently passed 420 parts per million. Unseen in at least 800,000 years, Homo sapiens, our species, emerged around 300,000 years ago. So our species has never before experienced an atmosphere so laden with planet-warming greenhouse gases. The last time Earth's atmosphere had CO2 concentrations as high as today was roughly 3 million years ago. During the Pliocene epoch, an era without Arctic ice, and one in which the oceans covered the land on which the cities of Houston, Miami, and New York City now sit. According to a recent paper published in Science, almost a third of all species around the world will be at risk of extinction by the end of this century if we don't reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Luckily, we live in a state that still has the courage to look at climate change data and respond rationally. The state of Colorado has committed to reducing greenhouse gas pollution in our state by 26% of our 2005 levels by 2025, a goal that we came very close to hitting despite a significant increase in population. The next stage is to decrease our greenhouse gas pollution to 50% of our 2005 levels by 2030 and by 100% of those levels by 2050. 2030 is only 5 years away. Transportation is the largest source of Colorado's greenhouse gases. It is also the largest source of emissions here in Durango. I recently completed a carbon footprint for the UUFD campus. And I learned several things from it that I thought you all might find interesting. The first thing I learned is that the solar panels we installed in 2020, thanks to the generosity and hard work of members Cheryl and Stephen Guy, generate as much green electricity as we consume as a campus. In 2024, we were basically net zero for electrical consumption on the whole campus. Bravo. The carbon we produced from burning natural gas was 20 times our electrical consumption. We just cut that carbon footprint in half by replacing the gas furnaces that heated this sanctuary with air source heat pumps. Bravo. But then, kind of on a whim, I then decided to see what the carbon footprint is for the 45 gas cars in our parking lot to drive to church every Sunday. I was shocked. That number turned out to be almost as large as our natural gas footprint before the heat pumps. So then I figured if all those gas cars were replaced with EVs, those people wouldn't just use them to drive to church. They would do all their driving in an EV, say 8,000 miles a year. How much carbon would we save then as a community? Oh my, in the graph, you almost couldn't see our natural gas footprint anymore. The congregation's gas car footprint was so large. So here's what I think I learned from this exercise. If you want to make a real difference in climate change, you have to know the numbers. And what matters for the UUFD campus is natural gas consumption, and what matters for this congregation is gasoline consumption. This is a community that cares about pledges. How about this pledge? I'm going to mirror Greta Thunberg here and make you a bit uncomfortable. How about no more new gasoline cars in the UU parking lot? If you're considering buying a new car, let's talk. If you think a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid are the same thing, let's talk. If you think that the charging station infrastructure in Colorado isn't there yet, let's talk. If you think an EV battery won't work in the cold, let's talk. If you think an EV is too expensive, let's talk. Because a new gas car will generate CO2 for 25 years, and in 25 years, we're going to be at 2050. We are a community of caring people. We have an opportunity to show Durango what individuals can do when they come together, like the hummingbird. We are all interconnected and interdependent. We always were. It's just that now we can begin to feel how interdependent we are. In the end, our children's children will not care why we didn't act, only that we didn't. Surely they will wonder why they were not important enough. Thank you for listening.
It's my great joy to invite Flo Guy to the pulpit to share a reflection and meditation with us. Flo has been an active member of the environmental justice team for this past year, and using Edward Abbey's words, describes herself as a half-hearted crusader for Mother Earth and the greater circle of life, saving the other half to enjoy it. Welcome, Flo.
Thank you and good morning. The reflection I'm going to share with you is from Angel Deere, who is an ordained minister, a mystic and medicine man with a shamanic healing center in New York, with a little adapting from me. There was a time when we didn't need books to understand the sacred. We walked barefoot on the land and learned directly from the soil. We listened to the songs of rivers, the silence of snow falling in forests, the movement of clouds across the sky. We read the flight of birds like scripture, followed the tracks of deer like sacred texts. Everything was alive. Everything had spirit. We were not above it, but within it. This is a way of seeing and being in the world we can and must return to. A deep knowing that every stone, tree, breeze, and bird carries intelligence, carries soul. That we are not separate from this world, but in kinship with it. We live in relationships, not in domination. To converse with nature as our ancestors did. They gave thanks before the harvest and asked, "How can I serve this web of life?" That orientation changed everything. It roots us in reciprocity, where the land is not owned, but honored, and every act, like eating and building, birthing and burying, was part of a sacred dialogue with life. Your body aches to walk through an ancient forest quietly. Your hands want to touch the earth. No amount of success or accumulation can ever quite fill that buried longing. That is the soul remembering. That ancient part of you that knows you are not meant to live in exile from the living world. The struggles we feel today, anxiety, despair, ecological grief, are not personal failures. They are symptoms of a culture severed from its roots. They are the cries of a spirit starving for intimacy with the sacred. The healing and the wisdom we need is waiting in the silence beneath our feet. The earth has been whispering to us all along, and we only are beginning to remember how to hear. This remembrance is not a luxury. It is essential. In a time when the world feels unraveled, remembering is how we reweave, how to belong again, how to be humble participants in a vast, mysterious, intelligent cosmos. The root of the word humble comes from the Latin humus, meaning earth. In Hebrew, Adam means human and is derived from Adama, meaning ground or earth. What we call ourselves is a silent call to be true two-legged creatures of the earth, bowing our heads in wonder. This path asks us to slow down, to feel deeply, to listen longer than it is quite comfortable, to sit in silence long enough to hear the stone speaking and the quiet whispers of our heart. Your spirit in conversation with mystery as you walk through life with reverence. The earth has never stopped speaking to us. Are we humble and quiet enough to listen to her? And just spend a few seconds in that quiet right now. Thank you for listening.